Welcome to Money on Your Mind today. I have a question that honestly I get asked quite frequently, and that is, I'm receiving an inheritance. What should I prioritize these funds? Should I be paying down my debt? Should I be saving? Should I be investing? You see, this is going to be a common question over the next 10 years as we see a mass transfer of wealth, both to partners as well as to the next generation. How do you prioritize these types of inheritance? How do you understand the responsibility of taking on wealth and maybe drastically changing some of your financial picture? That being said, I'm going to take it back to the basics for you. One, you need to understand what your lifestyle is. What do you spend on a regular basis? What do you need to live off of? What is your income? You need to understand those things because some of the things that you will inherit from a cash perspective, from a stocks, bonds, securities, annuities, life insurance, all of them are going to have different taxation. And you have to understand what is your current financial status. So understanding what I refer to as your cash flow, what goes in, what comes out. So what are we spending and what are we adding by our income? And then what are those sources of income? Understanding how those affect you as well. Then looking at your net worth, or as I like to sometimes call it, your personal balance sheet. Understanding what you own and what you owe. What you own are those things that you don't have any liabilities on. So maybe you do own your house outrightedly or your car outrightedly and don't have a mortgage or a car note on it. Wonderful, financial, healthy space to be in. That being said, not everybody is in those situations, right? Some people still have student loan debt. Some people have car notes. Some people own multiple properties. And you need to have a good understanding of what are the things that you own and what do they owe. Because all of these things are going to help you prioritize what are the things that are important to you. Again, this is not advice. This is education for yourself. If you want advice, I suggest you sit down with your personal board of directors, as I kind of always talk about in some of these segments, your financial advisor or financial planner, your tax preparer or tax advisor, and your attorney to understand how all of these things flow together. Again, I said this earlier, but a lot of the things that you are going to inherit are going to have different tax treatments to them. So by prioritizing paying your debt, saving, and investing, you have to understand what the stipulations might occur in your own financial situation. Of course, you kind of have to also do a little bit of a gut check. Do I want to have debt anymore? Maybe that's something that's very personal for you where you don't want that. So you want to be able to wipe that out. Depending on the size of your inheritance, though, I want you to think about what is that longevity. If you pay off that debt, will you be able to replace your savings account? It is important, especially for you as individuals who have lived through a pandemic. We have seen the impacts financially to different individuals from a savings perspective. I always say that you should probably have between 3 to 6 months of living expenses at a minimum, and then looking out even further. So if you're inheriting this money, you don't want to necessarily pay off something that will then eliminate you having any money in savings to be able to provide for yourself in case of one of those what if scenarios. Once you have that savings and a good idea of what your cash flow is and what you own and what you owe, then you can begin having the conversation around investing. Many times you will inherit different portfolios that might not align with what your investment values are. Investing is as personal as your DNA, and so is financial planning. You need to really explore what are the places within the investment realm that you want to invest in. We refer to this as risk tolerance. Sometimes you're going to inherit things where the loved one that you had was at a more conservative basis than you are. And maybe in order for this gift to last for you, you want to be able and feel comfortable taking on a bit more risk. So you're going to look at a more aggressive portfolio than what you were given. Again, you need to consult your financial planner, your tax advisor, and your attorney to understand if you're making some of these changes, what are the tax implications going to be? So just to recap, you need to understand what your personal financial situation is, what your cash flow looks like, and what your net worth looks like. Then you can start to prioritize what are the things that you need to be able to do. First, prioritizing and understanding what your savings structure looks like for that rainy day or that emergency fund. And then from there, once you have those key things established, you need to understand what your risk appetite is and what do you need these investments to do for yourself, all the while involving your personal board of directors. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Money on Your Mind.